I have used Claude Code for more than 1,000 hours. If I had to start again, I wouldn't start with fancy prompts or fancy models. I would learn how one work session actually works. Because Claude Code is not just about answering one message. It is working inside a session with files, project tools, and everything that has already happened. So if the session is messy, Claude works inside that mess. This is why beginners sometimes feel like Claude is a bit random. But sometimes it's just answering from the wrong desk, because once you understand the session, this stops feeling random. And they become tools for keeping Claude useful. I also made a free beginner-friendly guide for this video. It has the main ideas, practical sessions, the decision table I'll show at the end, and the simple template from this video. It also includes a more complete prompt that I only put in the guide. That one is for harder tasks, where you want to give Claude the best chance of getting the job right. You can get the guide from the description. Now let's start with the most important shift. The easiest way to misuse Claude Code is to treat it like ChatGPT with a project folder. ChatGPT is mostly a conversation. You ask, it answers. Claude Code is closer to a work session. It can work with your project, read files, follow saved notes, use tools, and carry what happened earlier. That's what makes it so powerful. But that is also why it's easy to mess it up. Because Claude Code is not only answering to your last sentence, it is answering from the whole session. So, the next question is simple. What is actually inside a session? Context is what Claude Code has on the desk. That is my simple mental model. It is not only your last prompt, it can include the chat, files, project notes, tool results, command output, and memory. Claude works with what's on the desk. A clear desk makes it easier to help. A desk full of old plans, wrong ideas, big files, and random side questions makes everything harder. And bad context does not always create an obviously bad answer. Sometimes it creates a confident answer from the wrong desk. That is worse, but at least it feels smart. I mean, it is smart, just with the wrong stuff. This is why session matters so much. Here's the part that confused me early on. Even a fresh session is not always empty. Fresh means the chat starts clean. It doesn't mean Claude knows nothing. Claude Code can load instructions even before you type your first message. So the chat may be empty, but the desk may already have notes on it. That is actually really useful. You do not want to explain your project every single time, but it also means a new session can be shaped by things you didn't just type. So when Claude seems a bit off, don't just ask what you typed, ask what the session had already loaded. So there are 4 things I would understand early. First, CLAUDE.md. CLAUDE.md is a special instructions file. Think of it like a note you leave for Claude before your work starts. It can explain the test command, the code style, the package manager, folders to avoid, or how the app is organized. But CLAUDE.md is not a hard lock. It guides it. It does not force Claude the way a setting or permission rule actually does. Second, we have memory. Memory helps Claude carry useful information across sessions. Third, we have rules. Rules give Claude more specific instructions, sometimes for the whole project and sometimes for certain files. Fourth, settings. Settings control behavior, permissions, tools, and what Claude is actually allowed to do. So, simple version. CLAUDE.md, memory, and rules tell Claude what to know or follow. Settings control what Claude Code can actually do. This is why fresh doesn't always mean empty. Useful stuff also takes space. The session fills with your messages, Claude's answers, files, command output, tool results, plans, mistakes, corrections, side questions. So even the useful gets heavy if you keep it all in one place. If you use one chat forever, at some point it becomes a family group chat. Everything is there, nobody knows why, and somehow an old message from 2 days ago is still affecting the answer. This is why the command /context matters. /context shows what is using space in the session. It helps you see the desk. It doesn't help you clean the desk. But seeing the mess is the first step, and it's really useful. Because before you fix a messy session, you need to see the mess. Most bad results happen because you asked Claude to solve the job, but you only gave it half the job. Being honest here, you do not need a perfect prompt most of the time. You just need 4 things. First, a clear goal. What are you trying to do? Second, context. What is going on? What did you already try? What actually matters here? Third, success. What would a good result look like? Fourth, ask first. Before Claude changes anything, make it repeat what it understood. That small step saves a lot of pain. So here's the simple template that works 90% of the time, at least. You have goal, I want to do this. Context, here is what's going on. Success, a good result looks like this. And ask first, tell me what you understood, how you will do it, and what questions you have. A bad prompt would be fix this page. A good prompt would be something like goal, I want to fix this page. Context, the mobile layout breaks after I added the sidebar. Success, the page works on phone and desktop, and the design still looks clean. Ask first. Tell me what you understood, how you would fix it, and what questions you have. With this second way of doing it, Claude is not guessing anymore. It is checking the job with you before it acts. So in this way, it feels way more like a partner that can actually be useful. I keep a simple prompt sheet for this. The free guide includes this sheet, the decision table I'll show afterwards, and the main notes from this video. It also includes a more complete prompt template for the harder tasks where the normal version is not enough. For small tasks, I use the 4-part version: goal, context, success, ask first. For serious work, I add files to read, examples to follow, rules to respect, what to avoid, and plan before action. But the sheet is not magic. It is just a way to stop forgetting important context. The real workflow starts after the template. Because the best context usually comes when you explain the actual situation. The shortest prompt is not always the smartest one. Sometimes Claude needs the messy 2-minute version to understand the real job. This is why voice helps me so much. When I type, I act like words cost money. I make the prompt too short, skip the weird details, and forget to explain why I actually care. When I talk, I give Claude better context, better examples, and the real reason behind the task. Sometimes the best prompt is just talking for 2 minutes and then saying, before doing anything, tell me what you understood and how you plan on doing it. That sounds simple, but changes the session. Now Claude is working from your actual thinking, not from a tiny thing you wrote in 10 seconds. Now we need to separate 2 important concepts that people mix all the time. Usage is your allowance. It is how much Claude you can use over a period of time. That allowance depends on your plan and how you're signed in. A bigger plan usually gives you more room, and heavier models or long sessions use that room faster. On the other hand, context is different. Context is how much this session can still carry. Think of usage as fuel. Think of context as desk space. You can have fuel left and still have a desk covered with old messages, files, tools, results, wrong turns, and side questions. Or you can have a clean desk and still be close to your usage limit. So when something feels off, do not only ask, am I running into my plan's usage limit? But rather ask, is this session too full? If the session feels wrong, do not guess harder. Guessing harder is not a strategy. Check what Claude is carrying first. These are the dashboard commands I would learn early. /context shows what is currently loaded into this session and what is taking space. It helps you see the desk, but it doesn't clean anything. /usage is different. It shows where you're against your plan's usage limits or rate limits. Basically, it helps you see how much room you have left to keep using Claude Code. It doesn't tell you whether this session is crowded, and it is not your exact bill. /memory opens management. That is where you can see notes, rules, and auto memory that may shape a new session. And /model allows you to see and change the model you are currently working with. That matters a lot because the model changes the quality, speed, and how fast you use your allowance. Models are not just names, they change the trade-off. A stronger model can think better on hard problems, and a faster model can save you time and usage on simple work. That is why /model matters so much. /model lets you pick the model Claude Code is using. This is essentially about choosing the right trade-off for the job in front of you. Quality, speed, usage. Those are the three dials. For most work, you should use Sonnet. Sonnet is the normal everyday choice. It is strong enough for most tasks, and it is way more efficient than just using the biggest model all the time. Opus is for harder thinking. Use Opus when the problem is confusing, the plan matters, or a bad decision would cost you time. For example, planning a big rewrite, debugging something weird, reviewing an important plan, or thinking through trade-offs. But Opus uses more of your limit. So I switch up when the task needs it, and then I switch back. Haiku, on the other hand, is the fast, simple option. Use it for small checks, quick summaries, or quick side work. But fast is not the same as better. The simple rule is Sonnet for most work, Opus for hard thinking, Haiku for simple fast work. And one warning, changing the model does not clean the session. If the desk is messy, Opus will give you a better answer, but from the same messy desk. Now you can officially control the session. This matters because the wrong commands can actually keep the problem alive. Use the right command for the right problem. Clear, compact, rewind, and by the way, are not random commands. They are different ways to handle different session problems. If you use the wrong one, Claude can still feel off because the real problem is still there. /clear starts a fresh conversation. Use it when you're done with one task and starting with another. Clear is not quitting, it is cleaning the table, but it doesn't delete your files. And your Claude.md or project notes can still be available in the next session. So clear means new conversation, same project world. /compact summarizes the conversation so far. Use it when you're still on the same task, but the session is getting too long. You can also give it focus instructions. For example, compact this, but preserve the plan and the current bug. That is useful, but compacting is not magic. A summary can lose details, and bad assumptions can carry forward. /rewind lets you go back to an earlier checkpoint. It can help a lot when Claude took the wrong turn and you want it to go back to where it was before. But this is not an undo button for everything in the universe. If you changed something outside Claude Code or did manual work somewhere else, do not assume rewind can fix all of that. And slash, by the way, is for a quick side question. This one is for sure underrated. It lets you ask something without adding it to the main conversation history. It can see what is already on the session, but it doesn't get tools, read new files, or give you follow-up turns. So use it for quick questions. As a simple rule, clear for a new task, compact to keep going on the same long task, rewind before the bad path, and by the way, for a quick side question. After all these commands, do not make this complicated. Most of the time the workflow is simple. Talk, align, act. For a small task, you don't need a big plan. You don't need 5 subagents. You don't need to make it fancy. If I want Claude Code to rename a file, fix one small bug, or clear one paragraph, I just ask clearly. Then I might say, before changing anything, tell me what you understood. If Claude got the job right, I say yes. If it missed something, I fix it before it starts even working. So, for normal work, talk, align, and then act. Small tasks need speed. Serious tasks need breaks. Plan mode is not for everything. Use it when a mistake would cost time. /plan puts Claude in planning mode. Claude can look around, read files, and understand the problem. Then it gives you a plan before even editing anything. Then you approve the plan, change it, or keep planning. The approval step is the point. Beginners often skip it. They ask Claude to do a big task right away, it goes in the wrong direction, and they spend 30 minutes cleaning it up. Plan mode is for things like changing many files, rewriting a part of a project, moving logic around, debugging something confusing, or making a decision you do not fully understand yet. For bigger work, I like to start like this. Before doing anything, tell me what you understand, how you would approach it, and what questions you have. That line is boring, I know, but it makes Claude slow down before even touching the work. If the work is messy, do not dump it all on the main session. This is where subagents become really useful. A subagent is a helper with its own desk. Your main session stays in charge while the helper does a side job and comes back with an useful answer. That matters because research, file search, tests, and plan reviews can all create a lot of extra detail. And you don't always want all of that dumped into your main session. A subagent has its own context, its own instructions, and its own space to work. Think of it like this. The main session is the captain, and the subagent is the helper. The helper does the side work, the captain decides what to do next. But subagents are not free magic. They still use models and usage, and they don't fix a bad main session automatically. Use them when the side work would make the main session messy. Don't just use them because they sound advanced. For work that can cost real time, I don't trust one plan immediately. I make another session to try and break it first. This is not for every small task. This is my workflow when the work really matters. One session makes the plan, another session reviews it. I might paste the plan and ask something like, rate this plan from 1 to 10. What is missing for it to be a 10? What could go wrong if we do as is? That sounds slow, but it is actually faster than letting Claude spend 30 minutes confidently changing the wrong things. This is the real lesson after using Claude Code for such a long time. The best users are not just faster, they are better at deciding when to actually slow down. If you only remember one screen from this video, make it this one. This is the map. Clear task, do it. Unclear task, align first. Big task, plan first. Important plan, review it. Side question, use / by the way. Messy work, use Subagents. Same task, but the session is too full. Use / compact. New task, use clear. Wrong path, use rewind. Need to keep state, make a handoff, then clear. So, after more than 1,000 hours spent on Claude Code, this is the lesson I keep coming back to. Claude works better when the session is clean, the job is clear, and you know when to actually slow it down. This is my first video, so if this helped, subscribe. And if it saved you some trial and error, leave a like. This one took a while to put it together. Start clean, give Claude the real job, and I'll see you in the next one.